To say that WWE has had an up and down 2019 so far would be a gross understatement. This has been a wild, wacky roller coaster ride of a year, with the products peaking like a takeover main event and cratering like a big green World of Sport monster almost on a weekly basis. For every crowd-pleasing night like WrestleMania 35, there's been a big bag of balls like Super Showdown. For every awesome Firefly Funhouse skit, a boring 20-minute talking segment. Creative are so inconsistent they make Baron Corbin look like Seth Rollins. And the best thing to do is just sit back, keep it at arm's length, appreciate the good stuff, and try to laugh at the bad stuff. The most difficult thing about all of this is that creatively, nothing is off the table anymore. Vince McMahon is more scatterbrained than ever. He's throwing all kinds of daft ideas out there, the wild card rule, in the hope that one sticks and fixes his ratings crisis, meaning that none of the nightmare scenarios that I'm about to describe can be ruled out. But what are the moves sure to turn this raging dumpster fire into Vince's inferno if and when they go down? Let's have a gander. I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are 7 things no WWE fan wants that will probably happen soon. Number 7, another Legends main event. Get your pre-prepared barbs at the ready, folks, because yes, I am going to talk about Saudi Arabia here, and specifically that Goldberg versus Undertaker match. This bout was quite upsetting for more reasons than one. The first was because it was actually turning into quite the banger before Goldberg bonked his nonce on the ring post, even harking back to that awesome WrestleMania 33 blitz with Brock Lesnar. But afterwards, it was a near disaster, with both guys getting dropped on their heads and a really discomforting botched finish. Of course, the concussion was an accident, but something like this was always going to happen. These guys are north of 50 years old, and yet they're being expected to deliver at levels they just can't hit anymore, and it isn't safe. And guess what? It wasn't restricted to Goldberg versus Taker either. Remember HBK's comeback match? Daft Sod almost killed himself on a moonsault to the outside. On top of all this is going to happen again, because matches like Taker versus Goldberg are necessary on these Saudi shows. WWE just haven't created enough new stars for them not to be. So get ready for Sting versus Undertaker, or, I don't know, Kane versus, Midian? They're kind of running out of old dudes now, aren't they? Number 6, the women's tag team titles dying. While the image of Sasha Banks and Bayley sulking on a locker room floor as reported after WrestleMania 35 is objectively funny, anyone who criticised the boss for taking a stand against WWE's booking owes her an apology, because the women's tag team titles are on life support. The Iconics barely even make television most weeks, let alone defend their belts. Yes, they're really entertaining, and yes, their WWE.com skits rule, but what's the point in them having championships when they're essentially becoming invisible? It looks very much like WWE don't give a hoot about these straps, and that their creation was no more than a publicity stunt. As sad as it seems, there's now every possibility that WWE will just bin them off entirely, and soon. Their strict adherence to their own women's revolution narrative is probably the only thing keeping them around at the moment, and that's a real shame, because these belts could and should have been awesome. Number 5, ruining Bray Wyatt. Out of all the things on this list, this is the one I want to happen the least, because Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse segments have been absolutely awesome, and on some weeks, the only thing keeping Raw from being totally unwatchable. Rumour has it that they come from the mind of the madman himself. As revealed in Wade Keller's recent interview with a WWE writer's associate, Wyatt has had free reign to bring the Funhouse to life, and everything we've seen, from the Muscle Man dance to Rambling Rabbits to deaths, have come from Wyatt himself. It shouldn't come as a big surprise then that one of Raw's biggest highlights has been the one thing that Vince McMahon doesn't have control over. But here's the thing, this can't last forever, and sooner or later Wyatt is going to have to cede control to the increasingly daft chairman, and that's probably where things go tits up. It's a miserable thought, but get ready for the Fiend to become a wacky banter clown within weeks of his in-ring comeback. Think Doink, but really bad. Number 4, more botched NXT call-ups. Saying that WWE are probably going to balls up the majority of their NXT call-ups isn't even a cynical take anymore. Even the most optimistic of WWE fans must look at the most recent batch of main roster arrivals and think, yeah, these guys aren't anywhere near as cool as they were in developmental, as Vince McMahon struggles to get the most out of his son-in-law's old pet projects. Is Aleister Black anywhere near as compelling as the brooding badass he was in NXT as he sits in a darkened SmackDown room begging for a fight? How about Kairi Sane, who was a real standout as a sweetheart babyface champion in NXT, but doesn't even board the pirate ship to most main roster TV tapings? Or the Viking Raiders, who still haven't recovered from that Viking experience nonsense. Unfortunately, WWE have done nothing to inspire hope that future call-ups will fare any better. They just aren't getting them right anymore. And while guys like Ricochet have done okay, there's still plenty of room for improvement. What I'm saying is get ready for Johnny Gargano trading rest holds with Ariya Daivari on 205 Live. In 2019, the main roster is where your favorite wrestlers come to die. Number 3. Baron Corbin, Universal Champion. If you've consumed any recent piece of video content hosted by Adam Wilborn, Adam Nicholas, or myself, you know that we're a little bit partial to a spot of big banter Baron Corbin around these parts because, well, the guy's just really good at being an absolute wanker. There's a perverse sense of enjoyment to be had in watching this guy, who still looks like a bloody waiter trolling the universe. Regardless, this isn't an opinion shared by the wider fanbase. Baron is WWE's foremost recipient of Go Home Heat in 2019. On top of this, he's a certified ratings anti-draw who dragged Raw to hell when it was largely built around him in late 2018, and, aside from a few cool moves, he's a pretty basic wrestler as well. But here's the thing, WWE still haven't fallen out of love with the Big Breakfast, and that's why he's going to become the Universal Champion. Imagine the smug look on this Big Bell-End's big face when he somehow pins a Seth Rollins or some other babyface hero to win the strap. The internet is going to see. Admittedly, that would be pretty hilarious, but still. Number 2, SmackDown going 3 hours. We've all heard the reports suggesting that SmackDown won't be going the full 3 when the show moves to Fox in October. But do we really trust them? This is a company obsessed with boosting their balance sheet above all else, and the key reason that Raw will always run for 3 hours is because it nets WWE so much ad revenue. So it seems almost unthinkable that they haven't at least considered the option of doing the same for SmackDown. This would anger many a fan. Even when it's good, Raw can be an absolute chore to get through at 3 hours, and this is reflected in the viewership dropping off as the show progresses. SmackDown, meanwhile, is light, breezy, and relatively lean. It's a welcome break from the red brand's bloat, and this would be lost if WWE decided to stick an extra hour onto the end. They definitely need to do something if they're going to boost SmackDown's ratings ahead of the Fox move, but as a wise man once said, this ain't it, Chief. Maybe they should, I don't know, tell some compelling storylines or actually try building some new stars? That might work better instead. And number 1, Shane McMahon, WWE Champion. As with all other wrestling rumours, the one surrounding Shane McMahon becoming WWE Champion shouldn't really be taken with a pinch of salt, but a huge ladle of the stuff. And yet it would be exactly in line with what the company have been doing with the best in the world in 2019. Shane himself is much more compelling as a heel. Personally, I quite enjoy his shenanigans, and his turn and storyline with The Miz really worked. Since then, however, Shane has been used only as a weapons-grade troll. He occupies huge portions of airtime every single week, has reduced cult favourites like Drew McIntyre and The Revival to goober henchmen, and at Super Showdown, he even dominated Roman bloody Reigns of all people, with McMahon controlling at least 75% of the bout. It therefore stands to reason that Vince McMahon would at least consider installing his son as WWE Champion. Vince himself would likely see the heat that would pour down after his victory over Kofi Kingston as the good kind, not the Baron Corbin kind, though there's no doubt that it would inspire one of the worst backlashes in recent WWE history if and when it happens. WhatCulture.com's own Michael Hamflett has concocted a scenario in which Shane beats Kofi, wins the belt, lifts it high, and is immediately cashed in on by Brock Lesnar. If true, it'd be a hilariously misguided attempt at turning the Beast babyface, but hilarious nonetheless. So that's our list, but can you think of any other nightmare WWE scenarios that few people want but could come true in the very near future? Let us know down in the comments section below. Once you've done that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, and after that, you can then follow us at WhatCultureWWE on Twitter and me at Andy H. Murray if you like Greg's Steak Bakes and hot wrestling takes. Goodbye!
Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, and if you're a fan of what you've just seen, then make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for daily wrestling podcasts, where we not only review Monday Night Raw and Smackdown Live, we also discuss the events before and after of pay-per-views. We have roundtable discussions discussing burning wrestling issues, interviews, and a roundup of the week, complete with a bloody good quiz, of course, on wrestle culture. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from What Culture, and I'll see you soon.